Hello everyone, welcome to another lecture video from Biosite. In this lecture, we are going to discuss about nutrition in humans, and this is one of the topic from the chapter Life Processes, Class 10 CBSE. Let's start today's lecture. Human beings and other animals had heterotrophic mode of nutrition in which they depends upon the plants and other animals for their survival. So how do the digestion happens in humans? So this is the a brief flowchart of the digestion in which the digestion starts in the mouth and ends in the large intestine. The alimentary canal had parts which starts with the mouth and ends with anus. So let's discuss the process of digestion. How do the process of digestion occurs in each part of the alimentary canal? So when you observe the food processing in the mouth, in which digestion of the food in the mouth, food has to pass through the same digestive tract and is processed into smaller particles of the same texture. Such the digestion starts in a mechanical mode of digestion in which chewing of food is very important, and chewing with the teeth breaks food into small particles and makes the processing easier, and the lining of the alimentary canal is soft so food is wetted to make its passage smooth. And saliva is a fluid secreted by the glands called salivary glands, and saliva contains an enzyme called salivary amylase, and the other name of salivary amylase is ptyalin. So salivary amylase breaks down the starch, the carbohydrate part of the food, or starch, a complex molecule, a complex carbohydrate broken down into simple sugars by the action of the enzyme called amylase. So food is mixed thoroughly with the saliva and moved around the mouth while chewing by the muscular tongue. So I have mentioned that due to the action of salivary amylase, the starch will be broken down into simple sugars. So let's understand this by simple experiment. For this, take two test tubes and label them as test tube A and test tube B. So add 1 ml of starch solution in both the test tubes. 1 ml of starch solution in both the test tubes, and add some amount of saliva in test tube A, and no need to add saliva in test tube B. So the test tube A consists of 1 ml of starch solution and 1 ml of saliva, and test tube B consists of only starch solution. We didn't add saliva in test tube B. So after few minutes or certain amount of time, add few drops of iodine solution in both test tube A and test tube B. We have to add iodine solution in both test tube A and test tube B. So the observation is, you can see a coloration in test tube B in which indicates the presence of starch in test tube B. So addition of iodine indicates when there is a starch, the iodine solution will react with the starch and gives a blue coloration. The change of the color of solution into the blue color indicates the presence of starch in the test tube B. But in case of test tube A, there is no color change. The solution remains colorless, which means there is no blue coloration, appearance of blue coloration in the test tube A. Why? Because we have added saliva in test tube A. So with the salivary amylase which is present in the saliva reacts with the starch solution and break down the starch into simple sugars. So that's why there is no color appearance in the test tube A. While in test tube B there is no source of salivary amylase, so the starch solution remains the same. So when you add iodine solution, there is a appearance of blue color. So with this activity we can understand the salivary amylase break down the starch into simple sugars. So let's understand how do the movement of food occurs. The movement of food occurs due to some movements known as peristalsis, peristaltic movements. So the food must move in a regulated manner along with the digestive tube so that it can be processed properly in each part. The lining of the alimentary canal has muscles that contract rhythmically to push the food forward. These rhythmic movements are called as peristaltic movements, and peristaltic movements occurs all along the gut. So the peristaltic movements are the movements which pushes the food for the processing in each and every part of the alimentary canal. So esophagus. So esophagus from the mouth, food is taken into the stomach through a food pipe or esophagus, and the stomach is a large organ which expands when food enters in it. The muscular walls of the stomach helps in mixing the food thoroughly with more digestive juices. Let's understand by seeing a diagram. Yeah. So this is the mouth, also known as buccal cavity, where the digestion started, and this is the long pipe which is called as esophagus, which extends up to stomach, and the other name of esophagus is food pipe. Food pipe, where the food will be passed into the stomach by the peristaltic movement. And stomach is a large a sac like structure in which the food is stored in the stomach, we have and it is a bag like structure in which it expands when the food enters into it, and the stomach consists of some enzymes which helps in the process of digestion. So let's understand digestion in the stomach. Digestion in the stomach is taken care of gastric glands present in the wall of the stomach, and these glands release hydrochloric acid, a protein digestive enzyme called pepsin, and mucus. Hydrochloric acid creates an acidic medium which facilitates the action of pepsin. Mucus protects the inner lining of stomach from the action of acid under normal conditions. So what happens is the stomach basically consists of, consider if this is the stomach consists of certain glands called, the wall of the stomach consists of certain glands called gastric glands gastric glands in which they secrete HCl, which is hydrochloric acid, into the stomach. So the stomach consists of certain enzymes called pepsinogen, trypsinogen. So these enzymes will be activated due to the presence of HCl. So these are the inactive forms of the enzymes. So these enzymes will be activated by the hydrochloric acid in the stomach. So HCl activates pepsinogen into pepsin and trypsinogen into trypsin. So this is the mechanism, and this pepsin and trypsin serve the purpose of protein digestion. Whatever the protein present in the food will be digested by these enzymes. So how do they digest? So pepsin, let me show you like this. Proteins which are present in the food upon the action of pepsin will be broken down into amino acids and trypsin as well. So due to the action of pepsin and trypsin, the protein will be broken down into amino acid. And there is another enzyme known as chymotrypsinogen. Chymotrypsinogen. So this will be activated by the activated trypsin into chymotrypsin. So this is how the activation of enzymes happens in the stomach due to the secretions of HCl, and HCl will be secreted by the gastric glands of the stomach. So you may wonder that the secretion of HCl may damage the stomach lining. Stomach. So the lining of the stomach consists of mucus. The mucus protects the stomach walls from the action of strong acid HCl. So the lack of mucus lining leads to the condition called ulcers, in which the HCl may damage the stomach walls if there is no mucus layers in it. So this is how digestion occurs in the stomach. Remember, salivary amylase acts on starch and convert them into simple sugars. Convert them into simple sugars. Yeah. And peristaltic movements are the movements pushes the food forward through the alimentary canal, and pepsin is the protein digesting enzyme in the stomach, and mucus protects the stomach lining from the strong action of HCl. If not so, it will lead to the condition known as peptic ulcers. Peptic ulcers. So let's understand the digestion in the small intestine. So again, the digestion in the small intestine happens when the food from the stomach will get transferred to the small intestine. So how do the food from the stomach passed into the small intestine? Due to the presence of sphincter muscles. The stomach consists of sphincter muscles. So the stomach basically consists of three parts: cardiac, fundic, and pyloric. Cardiac and fundic, pyloric. So at the pyloric region, the stomach consists of a sphincter known as pyloric sphincter. Pyloric sphincter. So the work of pyloric sphincter is to pass the food in small amounts into the small intestine for the further processing. Pyloric sphincter pass the food into the small intestine. So in the small intestine, maximum digestion absorption of carbohydrates, proteins and fats occurs. It receives the secretions from the liver and pancreas for the digestion. Food entering the small intestine from the stomach is acidic. So the acidic acid of the stomach of the food is known as a chyme. Chyme. So chyme is basically the partially digested form of a food mixed with the acid. It's a chyme. The chyme forms in the stomach, which is acidic, and it needs to be alkaline for pancreatic enzymes to work efficiently. So let's understand how digestion happens in the small intestine. So the secretions of liver. The liver secretes the bile juice and pancreas secretes the pancreatic juice. So the bile juice is produced by the liver. It helps to neutralize the acidic food coming from the stomach. Bile salts acts on the fats by emulsification. So the fats will be converted into lipids by the action of bile juice. So large fat globules are broken into many smaller droplets. So this process is known as emulsification. Smaller droplets provide large surface area, increasing the efficiency of enzyme action. This emulsifying action is similar to the action of soaps on oil dirt. So this is the principle for the action of soaps on oil dirt. So what is emulsification? This is the key point. The large fat globules converts into many small droplets which provides larger surface area, further promotes the more efficient enzyme action. So this emulsification will be done by bile juice secreted by the liver. Next comes the pancreatic juice. The pancreas secretes pancreatic juice into the small intestine. It contains digestive enzymes including trypsin and lipase. The trypsin helps in the digestion of proteins and lipase helps in the breaking down emulsified fats into lipids. Intestinal juice. The walls of the small intestine contain glands secrete the intestinal juice. The enzyme present in the intestinal juice complete the digestion of the food. So the secretions of bile of the liver secretes the bile juice, pancreatic juice, the secretions bile juice, pancreatic juice and intestinal juice makes the chyme which is the acidic nature of the food into a basic nature called chyle. So the processed food in the small intestine is no more a chyme, it is known as chyle, which is in alkaline nature, will be provided chyle uh, done by the intestinal juice, pancreatic juice and bile juice for the efficient action of the enzymes. So this is how digestion takes place from the mouth to small intestine. So when you observe, the length of the small intestine is differs in different kinds of organisms, and also the digestion and absorption of the small intestine happens depends upon the diet. The length of the small intestine differs among the animals according to the food they eat. Herbivores, grass-eating animals need a longer small intestine because the cellulose, which is the complex carbohydrate, which is a polysaccharide, required more time and processing for digestion. In case of meat-eating animals, the digestion is somewhat easier, uh, should have shorter small intestine. So longer small intestine for the plants or grass-rich diets, shorter small intestine for suitable for meat-rich diets. So let's understand what happens in the digestion. If the food consists of carbohydrate, it will be broken down into glucose, monosaccharides, or simple sugars. If the food consists of proteins, will be digested into amino acids. If the food consists of fats, will be digested into fatty acids and glycerol. So the carbohydrates are digested by the amylase enzyme, proteins by trypsin, pepsin, and chymotrypsin, and fats by the enzyme called lipases and bile juice. So after digestion, the absorption is a crucial part will be happened in the small intestine. Digested food is taken up through the walls of the small intestine. The inner lining of the small intestine has numerous finger-like projections called villi. Villi greatly increase the surface area and available for absorption. The villi are richly supplied with blood vessels, and blood vessels carry the absorbed nutrients to each and every cell of the body. The absorbed food is used for obtaining energy, building new tissues, and repairing old tissues. So, this is how absorption of food takes place in the small intestine by the crucial structures known as villi. So, we can say the villi are the structural and functional units of the small intestine. So, these are the finger like projections which, which are available for the absorption of food. So you can remember like this, villi finger-like projections provide larger surface area, rich blood supply, promotes efficient absorption. So we have seen the process of digestion which occurs from the mouth to small intestine. Then, so there is some portion of food which is always left as undigested or unabsorbed. So let's see what is the fate of such kind of foods. So food that is not absorbed passes into the large intestine, and the wall of the large intestine absorbs more water from this material, and the remaining waste material is removed from the body through the anus. So the exit of waste material is regulated by the anal sphincter. Again, we have sphincter muscles in the digestive system. Let's see let me show you. Yeah, so we have seen the process of digestion in the stomach, and this is the liver which secretes bile juice, and here the pancreatic gland at lower abdominal region, and this is the small intestine. We can see the numerous coiling of the small intestine here where the maximum digestion absorption takes place, and this is the large intestine. So the large intestine, the undigested food transfer into the large intestine where the absorption of water will be take place. So remaining the waste will be transported to the anus through the anal sphincter. So this is the appendix. So appendix is basically the vestigial organ in the human body, but in case of herbivores, it is not a vestigial organ. It serves the purpose of digestion of cellulose. So let's let's understand in quick flow. So the food from the stomach will be passed into the small intestine through pyloric sphincter. In the small intestine, we have the bile, pancreatic juice, and intestinal juice, which upon their action, the food will be completely digested and will absorb the nutrients transported into the blood, and cell use these nutrients, and unabsorbed material will be transported into the large intestine where the water absorption takes place, and the remaining waste will be sent out through the anus by anal sphincter. So here one important concept which is dental caries, also known as tooth decay. Dental caries means tooth decay. It causes gradual softening of the enamel and dentine. So enamel and dentine are the substances which are present in the teeth. So enamel is the topmost layer of the teeth, and it is the hardest part of the human body, which is enamel. It begins when bacteria acts on sugars present on the teeth. So these bacteria produce acids that soften or demineralize the enamel. A mass of bacterial cells together with food particles sticks to the teeth and forms a dental plaque. So when plaque covers the teeth, saliva cannot easily reach the tooth surface to neutralize the acids. So brushing the teeth after eating removes plaques before the bacteria can produce more acids. So if dental caries is left untreated, microorganisms may invade the pulp. Invasion of pulp can cause inflammation, and infection gradually leads to cavities. So sugars plus bacteria produces the acid, So when you eat when you consume sugary foods and sugary drinks, obviously the sugar will be deposited on the teeth, will be acted by the bacteria, produces acids which damage our animal, leads to the plaque formation, which is related to tooth decay. Plaque formation leads to the pulp invasion in our pulp cavity, leads to inflammation and infection. So what is prevention for this dental plaque? We need to brush our teeth regularly, especially after eating, to remove the dental plaque. Removing plaque prevents bacteria from continuing to act on sugars and producing acids. So let's do a quick revision. This is the path of the food. Mouth digestion starts in the mouth. Uh, second, first. After that, stomach. From the stomach, the food is transported to the esophagus. I'm sorry. So the digestion starts in the mouth. So from the mouth, the food will be transported to the esophagus, and with the peristaltic movement of the esophagus, the food will be transferred to the stomach, and from the stomach, due to the movements of pyloric sphincter, the food will be transported to uh, small intestine. There the maximum digestion absorption takes place, and the undigested part of the food will be transferred to large intestine, where the absorption of water takes place from the undigested food, and the waste material will be passed out, excreted out through the anus. So main digestive actions in the mouth: chewing, saliva, action of salivary amylase happens, esophagus, peristaltic movement, stomach, mixing of food with the gastric juice, pepsin and mucus, small intestine, complete digestion, action of bile, pancreatic juice and intestinal juice. So villi absorb the digested nutrient into the blood, large intestine absorb more water from the undigested food, anus, removal of fecal waste regulated by the anal sphincter. So digestion, this is the digestion and the end products we have already discussed. So this is about the action of some enzymes. So this is all about nutrition in human beings and the process of digestion. I hope you understand this lecture. Thank you for watching.